One after my sister died in childbirth, my fiancé took his own life too. Sorting through his belongings, I finally realized how much he loved her. All those 10 years we spent together, from the basement to a luxury villa, couldn't compete with the first smile he saw on my sister's face at 15. So, when I found myself back in my school days, I decided to look away from him. This time, I let him go. Something terrible has happened, sir. He's committed suicide. Those words hit me like a ton of bricks. The white rose in my hand slipped to the floor. Luna, that's not funny. I trembled all over, warning the maid. But Luna was crying. It's true. Sir slit his wrists in the bathroom. What? A buzzing sound filled my mind. My legs gave way, and I collapsed to the ground, instinctively protecting my belly. Before passing out, one thought raced through my mind. Suicide. Ryan, why would he do that? I awoke at dusk. The smell of antiseptic was overwhelming. Outside the hospital room, there was constant noise. Reporters crowded the door. Why did Mr. Ryan commit suicide? Was it depression or something else? It's rumored Mr. Ryan and you were deeply in love and harmonious, but you haven't had plans for kids. Is that affection fake? What triggered the suicide? Their voices grew louder, and flashes from cameras became painfully clear against the glass. I pressed my head in an effort to ease the pounding. The questions were getting sharper, all but baiting me to step out and give a statement. But I knew it'd only worsen things. As VP of Star Group, I needed to hold it together. No idea how much time passed. Suddenly, the reporters fell silent, replaced by a stern female voice. Who let you in? Get out now. My heart skipped a beat. Ryan's mom. She never liked me. Said I was too dull and boring compared to my lively sister. The hospital room door opened, and Ryan's mom walked in wearing a black coat. Her eyes were puffy and bloodshot, her presence urgent. She tossed her purse aside and yelled, how could Ryan suddenly kill himself? Clutching the blanket, I shook my head. I don't know. I'm surprised too, Mom. Enough, she slapped me. You have no right to call me that. Covering my burning cheek, I hung my head. Ryan's mom was gasping, looking to the sky, tears streaming down her face. How could it be? How could he just die like that? She murmured. Thunder broke outside, followed by heavy rain. By the time I gathered my thoughts, she was gone, leaving the room empty except for me and a quilt corner dampened by tears. Ryan's funeral was set 2 days later, the same day as my sister's. I attended 3 press conferences back to back, answering tough questions. It was still a day before the funeral when I got to see Ryan. He lay silently at the center with flowers all around. I walked up, placed the white rose in his hands, and sat there, watching him for a long, long time. Looking at the roses resting with him, all I felt was exhaustion. Everyone kept asking why Ryan took his own life. Truth is, I didn't have an answer either. He had been brilliant since childhood, incredibly talented. Despite growing up in poverty, he never slowed down. From 15, I watched him grow. From the gloomy, damp basement to a resplendent high-end villa. I witnessed every step as he turned from a young, green boy into a confident corporate president. But why? Why take his life? Why leave me in the middle, alone? I couldn't understand. Slowly, I rose, gently touching my flat stomach, whispering, I hadn't even told you, I'm pregnant. After the funeral, I went home and into the bedroom. The staff had begun sorting through his stuff, from summer shirts and tees to winter coats and woolens, everything slowly vanishing from the room. According to customs, these needed to be burned, leaving nothing behind. I sat on the bed, watching them sort through, feeling lost, empty, until a maid interrupted. Madam, should we clean the study too? Snapping out of it. I thought a moment, then stood up. I'll handle it. Ryan kept the study as a no-go zone, off limits to everyone, including me. I'd been by Ryan's side for 10 years, but never really grasped what lay within him. If something personal was stored in the study, I wanted to exercise my last right as his wife, to open, to understand, that enigmatic part of him. It required a password to enter the study. I tried various codes. Our first meeting date, our wedding date, my birthday, his birthday. Nothing worked. One final attempt remained. If wrong again, the lock would seal itself. Palms sweating, I paused in front of the door. If none of these worked, then what? My hands shook with uncertainty. An old memory flashed suddenly, my birthday, when I turned 15. Not many were there to celebrate. Ryan, my sister, and me. And that quiet class president summoned last minute. Midnight came, the night pitch black, candles flickered. 30 seconds of silence followed the end of the birthday song, while I made a wish and opened my eyes. I saw Ryan and my sister locking eyes, sharing a smile. His gaze softened incredibly in the candlelight. I thought those memories almost faded, but so vivid they stayed, clearer than yesterday, reminding me, I always remembered. I just chose not to face it. Exhaling deeply, I touched the lock with shaking fingers. Please, Ryan, don't reduce our decade to a mere joke. Rigidly, I entered the numbers. Watching in despair, the door opened. I stared blankly at the open door. Tears hit the floor. I couldn't help but pull out a self-mocking smile. I walked into the study. The study was dark, no lights on. I hit the switch, and suddenly the room lit up. Bright lights eradicated all the darkness. Everything was laid bare in front of me. There weren't any books in this study, just rows of oil paintings. I picked one up. It clearly said, Sakura, my sister. Everything in the room was about her. Even the walls were cherry blossom pink. Gentle, but beautiful. I looked at it all in despair, like a lost stray animal, not knowing where to go or what to do. Go hysterical, but Ryan was already dead. Break down, but Ryan was already dead. Then it hit me, no matter what I did, it was useless. Hating him, or loving him didn't matter. The study faced the direction of the sunrise. I finally understood why Ryan wasn't beside me every morning. At the far end of the room was a set of table and chairs. I walked over slowly. My steps were painful and numb. A notebook lay on the desk, packed with writings from age 15 till now. Feelings for Sakura he couldn't express. Every word was filled with warmth. I flipped through and stopped at the last page. It read, if one day you leave me, I'll come to you at all costs. Life and death won't keep us apart. Thunder roared. Rain poured down. Turns out, he didn't commit suicide because of depression, but for love. I posted this online, keeping names confidential, hoping for solutions from strangers, but they ignored my plea. Instead, they commented, oh my God, such a beautiful love, tragically poetic. Wow, what a fall from grace for love. Honestly, you should have let them be back then. Such a waste of a couple. I scrolled through, seeing them praise this love story, sighing over their fate. And what about me? If he loved Sakura back then, why didn't he just leave me? If their love was so perfect, what does that make me? I turned off my phone, opened the window, and tossed it out. Watching it shatter into pieces, I finally grasped my identity. I was nothing, just a fool. The funeral started. I watched the black coffin slowly sink into the ground. Just before it was covered, I opened my bag, pulled out a letter, then lit a lighter, burning it. The paper burned in the air, like a fiery butterfly. It was the only thing in the study that belonged to me. A love letter from when I was 15. But it wasn't about my true feelings. Sakura had drawn a pig on it and wrote, so silly. Her love letters are so sappy. Can't even use a saying right. Makes me laugh. Ryan had smiled back at her. Small and cute. I'd never seen it before. The funeral ended, guests left. Reporters surrounded, blocking the way. Flashlights kept shining on me. Are the rumors about your sister and husband true? I hadn't caught on. Online, someone said it was your interference with your sister and Ryan's relationship that caused their separation and this tragedy. The crowd buzzed. No wonder you haven't had kids all this time. Now it makes sense. Truly a pity for such a perfect couple. Reporters, having gotten nothing from me, turned to ask Ryan's mom. I shook my head slightly, hoping she wouldn't spill it. At home, whatever went on didn't matter, but in public, couldn't she give me that much? But Ryan's mom sighed and said, I wish the one marrying Ryan wasn't you. Years of struggling to keep this marriage up, crumbling in a moment. I became a true clown. Under the flash, my embarrassment magnified, like a dirty rat, running from the crowd to the car. In those 30 seconds, I regretted it. I wished desperately to go back to age 15, remain a stranger to Ryan. I didn't want to grow beside him. Boom. On a rainy night, a Bentley crashed into a car. The window shattered, sharp glass cutting into my skin. In the final moments, I seemed to see a white light, drawing me in. Ellie, answer this question. A sharp voice broke the silence. I moved my hand. It was numb. What? The muscle memory from school made me stand up, ready to answer. People around burst into laughter. Ha ha, Ellie, you're out of it. Quiet down. Quiet down. The teacher tapped the board, pointing at the problem. You answer this. Can't do it. You'll stand all class. I stared at the board full of formulas. Didn't know how to answer. Someone in front chuckled. It was my sister. Beside her was Ryan. In a past life, the man who died for love, my husband. I saw her innocent smile, softly telling Ryan, how can she be so dumb? Ryan rested his head in his hand, eyes full of affection for her. Then he smirked slightly, carelessly said, yeah. I couldn't breathe. At 26, I'd asked Ryan if he still loved Sakura. If he did, I'd step back, let them be. Ryan lit up a cigarette, then said calmly, let them be. What for? Sakura's married, Ellie. If I really loved her, I'd have crashed her wedding. I laughed sweetly back then, like a kid finally getting candy. Only now do I understand. It was all pretend. Married to me, but for Sakura. He didn't love me. The teacher saw I couldn't answer, so she pointed at my sister sitting in front. Sakura, can you answer for your sister? Sakura stood up with grace and confidence. She said, you can use Newton's second law for this. The answer is 16n. The teacher adjusted her glasses and said approvingly, good job, very good. Then she looked at me and sighed. How are you and your sister worlds apart? Sit down. Ellie, go stand at the back. I hung my head and picked up my book, walking to the back of the classroom. Along the way, I heard whispers and laughs. They are sisters, but the difference is huge. I'm tempted to suggest Sakura's parents get a DNA test. Can't answer something so simple. Shouldn't be in an advanced class dragging us down. I walked quickly, feeling embarrassed and awkward. After class, the teacher called me to the office. She pointed to the recent mock exam scores and frowned. Ellie, you gotta shape up. Look at your sister as a model. Then she pulled out a ranking list. Sakura and Ryan were right next to each other, second and third. I was at the bottom. I just nodded, avoiding eye contact. All right. I'll get someone to tutor you. Her finger moved over the rankings while I stared blankly. Back then, my tutor was an impatient guy. Guess it'll be the same now. While I daydreamed, her finger stopped at the top spot. Let's go with this one, Finn, the one sitting behind you, she said. I looked up in disbelief. Finn, the summer breeze blew into the office, very noticeable. Finn, I thought absent-mindedly. He was Sakura's old crush, wasn't he? Finn was our class president, a true golden boy. Back in the day, Sakura tried to get our parents to make a match, but the Alden family was wealthy and powerful. They turned us down flat. Later, Sakura gave up and married a company heir. After attending my wedding with Ryan, Finn went abroad for school and vanished. I returned to the classroom. After sitting down, I stared at the workbook on my desk. It was full of formulas I no longer recognized. Memories of the past washed over me. I gave up school to chase Ryan. Even when I got into an advanced school through connections, I couldn't escape a mediocre fate. My parents were so disappointed they stopped caring after I turned 18. Folks would ask why they didn't send me abroad, or at least to a good college. My parents would just laugh and say, raising a child is an investment, and Ellie's not worth it. She's nothing like Sakura. Once she's grown up, whatever happens isn't our concern anymore. I looked out the window and let out a sigh. This time, I don't want regrets. I want a better future. One that's free. Recently, Finn's been out on leave. None of the other students wanted to tutor me. They'd say, explaining it would be a waste. You won't get it anyway. So I huddled over my desk memorizing physics formulas. Some student passed by and sneered. Now you wanna catch up with exams around the corner. Where have you been? Her buddy nudged her arm, looked at Sakura and Ryan studying together in front, then back at me, probably off chasing someone who doesn't even care. What a joke. I tried focusing back on my formulas, but felt eyes on me and looked up, accidentally catching Ryan's gaze. At 16, he was all youthful with his blue and white school uniform, but his eyes were full of disdain, like I was some disgusting bug. Just let her be, Sakura softly said. Everyone has a right to try hard. The girls teasing me switched to smiling warmly at Sakura. Sakura, you're too kind. That'll get you in trouble someday. I lowered my head, not because of harsh words, but because everything blurred. Memories of being 16 rushed back. Ryan tutored me during a hot summer. He was patient, explaining complex problems again and again. The sun lit up his hair. 16-year-old Ryan seemed to glow. But now, that light felt extinguished. 3 months left till exams. I struggled to catch up on missed work, complex physics formulas, tricky math problems, endless chemistry reactions, essays, ancient poetry, and texts. It all seemed like a daunting roadblock to success. No way around it. And then Finn came back. He looked down at me first, then picked up my paper covered in red marks. He showed no annoyance. There's an easier way. He tapped the paper, grabbed a red pen from my desk, and in a few quick steps, solved it 3 different ways. Just plug in the formula here, no fuss. He glanced up. Understand. I blinked up at him. Finn wore glasses. A sapphire earring sparkled in the sunlight on his left ear. His eyelashes seemed to flutter like a butterfly's wings. I still don't get it, I said, a bit embarrassed. Finn lowered his eyes and said, then I'll explain again. Sakura turned around from the front, smiling. Finn, there's a problem I can't solve either. Can you help me? Finn pushed his glasses up, saying slowly, sorry, I'm busy. Sakura smiled, with an innocent and sweet grin. I'll wait till you're free then. When will that be? Finn replied casually. When I'm reincarnated as a pig in the next life. I cracked my first smile since my rebirth. The word got around quickly in our grade about Finn helping me with my studies. At first, everyone was shocked that a competition was like Finn would bother with me. Then came the jealousy. How crafty is Ellie? She pretends to be pitiful, and now the teachers arranged Finn to tutor her. Right? If it was someone else, I wouldn't say much, but Ellie, with her IQ, it's pointless. Finn will probably get tired of her soon. She's such a dimwit. I heard stuff like this time and again, but I never lifted my head from my sea of books. Not once. I sat at my desk, gnawing on my pen, stuck on a problem. Finn was off for another physics competition. Nobody else was willing to help me with my questions. Just as I was about to open a study guide, someone tapped on my desk. I looked up and saw a cold, emotionless gaze. It was Ryan. Ellie, the teacher wants me to switch with Finn. Switch what? I asked, confused. Ryan replied, tutoring. I mean, it's not like you'll benefit much anyway, right? Better let Sakura have it. They can help each other and snag more spots for direct admission. I was stunned. If having a crush is like 1,000 butterflies fluttering in your chest, drumming up a storm in Texas, then disappointment is like a fiery blaze over your whole body. After it burns, even your heart turns to ash. With no hope of revival, I looked at Ryan for the first time directly. My eyes felt hot, and my throat got tight. I said, Ryan, it's not just Sakura who wants to get into a good school. I do too. I ran out of the classroom, leaving Ryan standing there, stunned. What's up with Ellie? She ran out so fast. Think she's crying? A girl asked. Another girl rolled her eyes. So what if she is? Should we give her an award? What kind? An Oscar? They laughed together. Ryan hung his head low and shouted, enough. The classroom went silent. I ran to the restroom. In the tight stall, I wiped my tears with my sleeve. Afterward, I pulled out a math problem. The mock exam was just 3 days away. I had to win. The exam finally ended. Finn's competition results were out too. He got first place, securing a direct admission to the top provincial school. I congratulated him. Congrats. No more exams for you. He looked at me calmly and said, do you want to get into the top provincial school? Embarrassed, I replied, of course I do. But it's probably not gonna happen. Why not? I don't believe in myself, I said slowly. I'm confused about my future. With summer approaching, the sun outside was blazing. I watched the tree shadows dance by the window, with boys playing basketball below. Cheers echoed around the campus. Instead of believing in yourself, you might as well believe in fate, Finn said suddenly. I can read palms. Wanna see? I turned back and smiled at him. I handed him my hand. Finn held my hand gently, examining it closely. His hand was large and warm. He studied it for a while. I couldn't resist asking, Master, what do you see? Finn finally lifted his head, smiling mischievously. He pointed to some lines on my palm. It says you'll not only get into the top provincial school, but also into a university. Your wishes will be fulfilled, leading to a perfect life. I was about to laugh off his nonsense, but saw the sincerity in his eyes. It didn't feel like just my fate. It felt like his promise. The second mock exam results came out. I still ranked at the bottom. I stood in front of the leaderboard, feeling like I was trapped in an icy cave, chilled to the bone. Why does hard work go unrewarded? I clenched my fists, struggling to breathe. A classmate couldn't help but taunt. Thought you were some genius, huh? Go sleep, princess. If you can't hack it, skip high school. With these scores, you'll be better off finding a husband early. I stared at my shoes, tears dropping. They hit the tiled floor and vanished without a trace. Don't talk about my sister like that. Sakura tugged on the classmate. She tries hard and stays up late every night. The classmate glanced at the leaderboard and laughed. Sakura, you're so down to earth. Congrats on moving up. You might get direct admission with Finn. Sakura smiled sweetly. Thank you. Before leaving, the classmate added, honestly, you and Finn make such a good couple. Like characters in a school romance story. Sakura didn't argue, smiling even more bashfully. The classmates egged them on. I slowly walked out of the classroom, feeling like a dirty rat, escaping the owner's sight in a panic. I hid in the restroom again, this time with a math problem. Tears streamed continuously, smudging my notes. The letters blurred into a mess. I finally broke down, curling up and crying. Afterward, I washed my face and went back to class, only to bump into Finn at the corner. He was out of breath, flushed, his glasses off, and hair messy. He said, Ellie, congratulations. I blinked. What for? The system glitched and missed 3 of your exam scores. He tilted his head, smiling at me. So congrats, you're 10th. My eyes widened in surprise. 5 turns out Finn disappeared right after class, because he wanted to argue with the teacher. He believed in me. He knew my hard work wasn't just for show. Even the slightest bit of progress was enough for him, but the teacher wouldn't believe it. It wasn't until he reached out to the Alden family that the truth came out. I cried my heart out. Thank you, I said. Seriously, thank you. I worked even harder. I wanted good grades and a good future, even though my parents mocked me, saying I was only in the top 10 of my class, and couldn't even get close to a prestigious school. But I kept studying late into the night. Finally, I aced the big exams. I got into the prestigious school. The family toasted and celebrated, but it wasn't for me. It was for Sakura. Mom and Dad even threw a graduation party just for her. Turns out, it wasn't because I was useless that I was abandoned. They just didn't love me. I watched Sakura, supported by Mom and Dad, surrounded by flowers and applause. Even Ryan worked for months, just to get her a bouquet of 99 white roses from Australia. He handed them to her with such tenderness. Everyone teased. Sakura shyly accepted them. I looked down, couldn't help but let out a sarcastic laugh. In a past life, I married Ryan, and we agonized over what flowers to choose for the bouquet. When he found out, all he said was, white roses, I guess. I asked him why. He wouldn't answer. I stubbornly thought it was because he wanted to tell me the meaning behind white roses. A pure and flawless love. Now I know, it was indeed for the meaning. But the person he wanted to tell wasn't me. I stood in the corner, quietly raising a glass. Cheers to you all. Cheers to youth. Cheers to my foolish past life. Drinking the strong liquor, I decided to let go completely. Suddenly, Ryan turned to look at me. We stared at each other for a long time. His gaze wasn't cold as before. It was full of panic, like he'd lost something precious. Ryan, what are you looking at? Sakura asked sweetly. Ryan turned back, heart pounding. He smiled sheepishly. Nothing. Maybe I lost something because I rushed here. Is it important? He was silent for a long time. Probably. He felt more and more anxious. Probably something very important. Years later, Ryan remembered that afternoon of toasting and celebration. Sakura in a little white dress stood on stage, so dazzling. Her cheeks slightly red, thanking him for the white roses. But for some reason, he turned his head. He looked towards the corner of the stage. Ellie stood there, looking at him calmly. They locked eyes. Because of Sakura, he looked away. When he looked back again, she was no longer there. This was the thing he regretted most in his life. Love is warmth. Being loved is light. Last life, I spent a lifetime chasing love. But in this life, I'm tired. I just want freedom. In the vast darkness, let me be my own light. Don't need to light up thousands. Just one light is enough. In high school, I worked even harder. Each sprint, each rebuild, made my grades more impressive. By the second semester of sophomore year, I made it into the top 5 for the first time. The teacher praised me in front of everyone. Everyone should learn from Ellie. The room was silent. I nervously sat there, feeling at a loss. I thought they'd laugh at me like in middle school. But after the silence, the applause came roaring in. With cheers, too. That's insane. Jumping up from the bottom of the class. So amazing, it's making me rethink slacking off. The applause wouldn't stop. I widened my eyes, surprised. The teacher smiled at me from the podium. We've all seen your effort, she said. Ellie, you're truly amazing. My eyes watered. After class, a classmate came to ask for help. Just like me before, nervous as hell, afraid of rejection, and pretending to understand to save face. I patiently explained over and over, just like Finn once did for me. I understand the world is dark, deep, and unpredictable, but I still choose to hold up a light, do my best to brighten my corner. I believe this light will spread until the night is lit. Daybreak brightens the sky. Everything comes alive. The sun shines fiercely. In senior year, Ryan suddenly reached out to me. He looked terrible, with dark circles under his eyes. I calmly watched him. Is there something you need? I asked. He suddenly grabbed my wrist. Ellie. His voice trembled. You liked me, right? I frowned and stepped back, forcefully shook off his hand. Don't call me that, I said. It makes me feel sick. His hand froze, then slowly fell. I turned to leave. Ryan, with red eyes, said to me, can you give me another chance? I stopped, turned to look at him. In the dim alley, Ryan called my name hoarsely in the dark. Please, give me another chance. Love me once more, like a trapped beast. I knew he was reborn too. I didn't ask him why he chose to die with me in the last life. Why, if he didn't love me, did he marry me? Why he abandoned me? So many whys. Loving him those 10 years was full of too much fog, until there was nothing left but sighs. But in the end, I didn't ask anything, just looked at him, feeling at peace, and said, Ryan, I will never love you again. Never. Ryan's gaze shattered. Those once beautiful eyes lost their spark, no longer youthful. Thunder roared. It started to rain. I took out an umbrella from my bag, opened it, and walked out of the alley without looking back. The cold rain tapped against the umbrella. Drip drop, drip drop. It poured heavily. I suddenly remembered, on the day I packed up Ryan's belongings from our past life, it rained just like this. It was a pitch black rainy night, with no end in sight, and my nose and lungs always felt damp. But in this life, I took a deep breath and laughed. No more rainy nights like that for me. Goodbye, Ryan. You used to be my sunshine, but now, I'm going to be my own light. I thought that was the last time I'd see Ryan, but then the next morning, I found a breakfast tucked inside my desk, plus a few pieces of imported chocolate. My classmates laughed and said, Ellie, you lucky dog, got noticed by the school heartthrob. I frowned, flipped the breakfast straight into the trash. Seriously, my classmate gasped, that's such a waste, Ellie. If you're not gonna eat it, share it with us. I looked at the breakfast in the trash and asked, want me to fetch it back? He grimaced, nah, forget it. That's like groveling like a dog. I chuckled. Word about me ditching Ryan's breakfast spread fast across the campus. These kinds of gossip really spiced up the otherwise boring and stressful high school life. But unlike when Finn helped me with problems, this time, no one scolded me. It passed like a joke. During this time, Sakura came to see me. Red-eyed and pitiful, she questioned, why did you throw away Ryan's breakfast? Do you know how much that hurts him? Glancing through my physics notes, I replied nonchalantly, don't know, don't care. You, Sakura slammed the desk, pointing a finger in my face, but my classmate cut her off. Sakura, the breakfast was a gift from Ryan to Ellie. Ellie can do whatever she wants with it. Why are you so worked up when the person involved isn't? Sakura was speechless, furious. She glared at me, then gave a cold laugh and said, you'll never beat me. My classmate who came for help pushed his glasses up, glanced at his watch, and said, hey, are you done with your questions? If so, head back to your class and stop hogging the space. The classroom roared with laughter. Sakura stormed off in anger. Ryan kept leaving breakfast for me enthusiastically until the second month. Then Finn returned. He shot a complicated glance at the breakfast on my desk, and after that, no more breakfasts appeared. 2 weeks after the breakfast disappeared, Ryan cornered me. "What's your relationship with Finn?" he asked. I shot him a glance. "You don't have the right to ask," I said. Ryan's face showed pain, and as I turned to leave, he grabbed my sleeve. "Don't treat me like this," he said, his voice shaky and fragile like a stray dog, but I felt no pity. I pried his hand off. "Ryan," I said, "we're like strangers now, and you've crossed a line." He looked up, disbelief written all over his face. "You said you'd love me forever. You said I do in another life," he stammered, breaking down. I spoke coldly. "So what, Ryan? You also said I do. We made vows before God, prayed for blessings at a marriage temple, and you promised you'd only love me." I smirked, with sarcasm and helplessness lining my voice. "But you still chose to die with Sakura, didn't you?" Ryan was stunned. I started heading for the exit. "Let's not meet again." But at the exit, I spotted Finn. He was chilling in a Maybach, casually resting an arm out the window, a cigarette between his slender, veiny fingers. I was taken aback, slowing my pace. "Get in," Finn said, snapping back to reality. I opened the car door and climbed in. Ryan chased closely and pounded on the now closed car window, demanding, "What is your relationship?" Finn rolled down the window just a crack, eyes cold. "None of your business." Seeing Ryan outside still desperately trying to argue, I made a decision. Leaning close to Finn, I kissed him right in front of Ryan. The clouds parted, sunlight spilling over everything. Ryan kept banging on the car window, trying to stop us. Finn, however, held my chin and deepened the kiss. The car held the lingering scent of cigarettes, but it wasn't unpleasant. It was like a cooling floral fragrance. I didn't push him away. After that, I never saw Ryan again, until about 2 months before our big exams. Sakura confessed to Finn. After his rejection, through tears, she asked, "Why can she, but not me?" I watched her cry coldly, each tear splattering silently to the ground. My heart remained unmoved. Finn answered casually, "It's not just roses that are special. Lemons are too." Hearing this made me smile faintly. After being rejected, Sakura turned her attention to Ryan instead, chasing after him. This rumor swirled all around school, finally ending with Ryan's rejection. I heard this while calculating a physics problem, my pen never pausing, just like before. A month before the exams, my parents hurriedly called. Sakura had developed a split personality. She was acting crazy, asking everyone, Why don't you love me anymore? Was all your kindness towards me in the past fake?" Mom sobbed helplessly on the phone. "She's your sister, just give in to her." Her crying was painful to hear, but I felt numb. "Give in how? What should I give?" I asked. As the summer heat settled in, the sunset outside the dorm lit up brilliantly. I looked down, speaking softly, looking at love as the only thing in life only traps you in your own cocoon. Hanging up the phone, I went back to studying. 7 a gentle breeze came through. It blew the pages of the books on my desk. I finished writing the last word, put my pen down, and looked up. Suddenly, I thought about how, in a past life, I was so determined to chase after love, because I had never been loved. I craved it desperately, to the point where I lost myself. When I found out Ryan had a crush on Sakura for 10 years, I was shattered too. I felt oddly sorry for Sakura. We fell into the world's thorny traps, convinced ourselves that our obsessions were love. We were just cowards, carried away by the need to be loved. June 8th, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I put down my pen, took a deep breath. The bell rang. College entrance exams were over. 10 minutes later, students dashed out of the school gates. That day, the sun was shining perfectly, and the breeze was gentle. We ran into the sunlight, escaping victoriously. At the gates, Finn stood holding a bouquet. The sunlight poured over him, making him shine like the end of a dream. I laughed and said, "Being a recommended student sure is easy." Then I took the bouquet. They were hydrangeas. "May you go towards a bright future," he said. I looked up at him. "Seriously, I definitely will." Surprisingly, Ryan didn't take the exams. He stayed home, took sleeping pills, released the gas, trying to end his life. But he didn't succeed. When I heard about it, for the first time, I went to see him. In the hospital, he lay on the bed, pale, thin, and fragile. Seeing me, he gave a sheepish smile. "You're here." I asked him coldly, "Why did you try to kill yourself?" Ryan looked down. I wanted to tell you," he said. Don't give up on me, I could die for you. Ignoring the nurse, I rushed forward and slapped him several times. Ryan's dull eyes started to fill with mist. Is life so cheap to you? I grabbed his collar and shouted, what's the point of dying for someone? Living for someone is what's noble. A breeze lifted the blue curtains in the room. Ryan stared blankly at me. I won't see you again, I said before leaving. Goodbye forever. The hospital room door slowly closed. That was the last time we met. The exam results came out. Finn was more nervous than I was. After logging into the results page, he clasped his hands together in a prayer in front of the computer. I laughed. Since when did you become so superstitious? Finn said, I've always been superstitious. Kind of true. I remembered in middle school, he even tried reading my palm. It's time, Finn said, holding my hand like we were doing some ritual. I asked what he was doing. He smiled with crescent eyes. Passing my good luck to you. What if I want all your luck? I'd give it to you, of course. I smiled too. My heart felt like soft cotton. In the end, we clicked the check button together. Finn looked at the scores and said, Ellie, you're really amazing. My eyes were starting to get teary. I said, of course, I'm amazing. And then, Finn, let's go to England together. Finn gave a little millimeter. Years later, I made lots of friends closer than family, even got adopted as a granddaughter by an old lady. I started sponsoring underprivileged girls for their education, giving them a new life. Time was bright. Life was small yet grand. The end.